It's January 25th, 2023. um, my son woke up this morning and had a very childlike response. And I'm not quite sure what, I'm reminded of Westworld when Dolores is in a room and asked by Bernard, "Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?" Um, so my son wakes up and has this conversation with me, the youngest one from 2012. He's very angry at me about this play, Moana, that he's going to be a part of. I'm just holding that piece of intelligence that he shared with me, trying to figure out spiritually and holistically why this is such an agitate to he at the moment. And I said to him, I said, "Listen to me." I said, "I'm going to be very clear. This is a moment in time where you're setting experiential points. The humans have informed me that the way that their society works is that they offer you opportunity and you build on your character and your life experience socially to build almost like a life resume of experience, which then, if offered some other further opportunity to build yourself and your character into your future." He says, "But I don't want to be a Hollywood actor." I said, "You don't want to close that door for exploration. However, you don't have to be a Hollywood actor." I said, "Getting up on that stage and having theater experience is important in a lot of different possibilities that I don't have a word construct for you just yet on what and where that might lead." I said, "But what I will say is, because he was upset about this, like he didn't want to do the church pat, like he just was in this mood this morning where he was angry at me for everything. Like when I take him to church just to get him out of the room with the video games, just to interact with adults, to learn how to speak to adults, how to thank adults for speaking to him and offering their way of being, and to set a example of what's acceptable, of how people should treat you in a public space and vice versa, how to carry yourself. I mean, these little training moments in a public eye, but in quiet ability. So he and I are going through these motions at the moment. He's just built and wired differently in this section of the Citadel as opposed to the island life. And so he's angry with me. And I said, "Listen to me." I said, "You can be angry at me for you didn't want to do this Christmas pageant." I said, "But listen to me very clearly. You now have completed it. It's over. It's on your life experience that you were asked by the father of the church to play the leading role in the Christmas pageant. Do you know how incredibly special you are to have been blessed with that opportunity?" And he's just like, I said, "Father Carl blessed you with an opportunity you've now completed, and it's now a part of who you are and what you've accomplished at such a young age." I said, "That's how you need to look at it. Not like, you made me get out of the house and..." No. I said, "Stop it, drop it." So then he did. He got quiet. And then he was fine with the Moana part. Like it just dissipated. Um, so I'm then thinking of the something came home from his school. It's called Colonization for Gold, God, and Glory. It's called Cross Curricular Focus History, Social Sciences. Now, when I was a child, there were I think ISBN, IBSN textbooks from like the 1950s or 60s that were pre-printed that we were allowed to learn from. I guess they were the same textbooks my parents had. I don't really know, or some version of it. Now they don't even have a book. They've got some kind of like page that's like, psst, here's where we're up to somewhere important. Not that like you all being like left in like the I don't know what. So it says cross curricular focus, history and social sciences. This is all my son gets. I don't know why. It says historically, it's like a briefing for me as a parent to like, what does your son's future look like? Like they haven't decided yet. Um, it says most explorations. I mean, again, I have king's blood and queen's blood. I don't have common blood. I'm an ABO of somewhere else. And the fact that they rearranged my entire breeding season to trap me amongst common blood is a major sign of concern on such an epic scale, because my children were anticipated to be as important as my birth was. And now there's some alternate going on, yet they are still cosmically and cosmetically just as important, even though there's been some form of alteration in keeping on course. And now I'm being forced to live in common area without a ladder to climb or a hand to hold, which is more problematic. So I'm reading this social discourse, and it says here most explorations begin as searches for new trade routes. However, the discovery of the Americas changed all that. It created new desires in the heart of kings, emperors, and explorers. Land was hard to get in Europe, and as populations grew, every bit of it had already been claimed. The prospect of vast open lands in the Americas excited the sailors to action. So you're saying that it was the men of the sea that are the problem. Just curious. The lands were also reported full of rich resources. The bountiful land also encouraged rulers to put up money for sailing expenses in the hopes of receiving far more wealth in return. Religion was another reason for exploration and colonization when Protestants rebelled against the Catholic Church. I don't have a full study or full resource on the struggle between Catholics and Protestants. I don't. And it seems like pro and then tests of the ANT. Calling for its reform, the Catholic Church launched the Counter-Reformation. This was a time when Catholic nations did everything they could to convert new believers to Catholicism. Now, is that the study where the mathematics and the symmetry stayed? Countrymen look like the letters and labels they were assigned by the area managers, the counts, and the queens and the kings in some United Kingdom? Or is this the messy version that is erupting in New York within my time capsule that I've now built? I've succeeded in building a time capsule with time-specific references of just how disuniformed this area and disruptive and chaotic it's become, while my health and my safety have become compromised by I don't know what and whom. There's so many options that lay before me. It says establishing a new colony was an opportunity for the church to convert the natives. Each time another explorer went to seek his fortune, to convert natives to his religion, or to make a name for himself as a brave adventurer, the face of the world changed again. It sounds like a sinkhole, a quicksand, something along those lines. Cartographers, the people who make maps, struggle to keep up with the new discoveries. I'm sure they did, and file their papers properly with the correct authority. Being that one of us has an ABO that is not like the rest. Combining their blood with mine causes it's an attempt on my life. It's an attempt on my breeding season. Like, there are people who care that what I am, how I am bred, and the children I produce, they are of utmost importance because they're the most endangered and rare amongst the rest. But yet they forcefully kept me amongst bloodlines of commoners that I should not have been kept amongst, and then forced me to have children with these people. It says, in the hurry to publish newer and better maps, unknown areas were often filled in with things the cartographer imagined. Sometimes the cartographer decorated it with angels, spirits, or demons to represent the unknown. The world became a smaller place, each exploration. Finally, and it has a number, it says Ferdinand Magellan. But it says Ferdinand Magellan. So are these the two in cahoots with each other under this 1519 circa? I'm just curious at like international, like keeping one ordinance at Mar IO nation. For the supers, it says his historic voyage. He became the first explorer to realize the original dream of sailing west to Asia. Now, here's the thing. If one cares to look at a modern cartographed map and keeps their straits straight as an arrow, one would know they're not referencing North America with this Ferdinand and this Asia. Like, it's a Latin American want, and it says it's formed with Spain. Now, how does this put me in North America in the Atlantic in jeopardy with my bearings? I don't want to piss off the bearings men. They seem, again, this seems like a fight that is way outside of my reach. But yet I'm watching this unfold on paper, and it is a frightening announcement. It says Magellan's crew did something else remarkable in the process. They were the first people ever to circumnavigate the globe. Circumnavigate means to sail completely around the entire world. Sadly, Magellan did not live to see the 3-year journey completed. He died during battle with natives in Asia in 1521. Only one of his 5 ships and the 18 of his 250 men returned home in 1522. Now, is this to the AAPI, part of the world that seems to exist inside of the territory of the United States? I'm just curious. It's only 1 page. It's a brief. And then yesterday, jumping around, my son comes home with a Vikings history, which I don't have the paper to reference at the moment. But it says Vik, V-I-K, is the bay for long, narrow, oared boats, O-A-R. So this way it doesn't invoke some, coming from that 70s show, it doesn't invoke some, whatever, far out to sea. It's a very docile, if the land thanes, the woodland thanes, and the seafaring, whatever they're called on that clan part of tribal, whatever, if they were going to have one page where they speak briefly but clearly without whatever. Last night it spoke of Leif Erikson and of Norway and Scandinavia and some words that I've known, some words I didn't remember. I don't know that, like, for my son, um, he finished the homework, but it's like it's one day and then it's over and then they move on. It's not like a lifelong, like it's not a lesson plan. It's not ingrained in their essence of their being. I'm in this, by the way. So, what have you, I don't know. But this Ferdinand, if I question the nature of this reality, it sounds like Latin America and Asia have some kind of understanding. I'm in North America. I have this flag in my territory. It seems like whatever, if I keep my straights straight as an arrow, this is very clearly not a North American history, but they're bundling it like we're all one and the same. So now where am I on land and seafaring managers and aerospace, which is what I'm mostly concerned in based on the nature of my reality I was built for and within, that is currently being held up by what feels like some lesser than common area issues that I really don't care about. Not in any great battle type of a way. But there are people that I need to be in touch with that I'm being withheld from, and I don't know why. So this is colonization. Now, interestingly enough, walking home after I dropped him off this morning, there was a woman on a phone call with whom I don't know, but she had it on speaker as she's walking, and she's walking right in front of me. I'm trying to get around her, but I know she's on the phone, so I'm trying to be polite, but she's like going both sides of the sidewalk. I can't even like get around her. And something came up. She's speaking somehow about the Republican Party and how is Christianity based in the Republican Party. And I'm thinking to myself, is this what like normal people talk about on the phone? Because, like, I mean, I don't really have anyone to talk to, and nobody brings these conversations up. I got to rely on the kindness of strangers somewhere in the wheelhouse of the televised in order to like let me know what kind of conversations, maybe kind of sort of, and how are they relative to what I got going on. Also yesterday, part of my exercise, I noticed Horatio Playground and the 49ers, and I'm like, oh, isn't that in questioning my own reality, the nature of my reality? I'm like, I then had to look that up. And so I'm going to go see if I can grab, and because I don't know how long Hamlet is. I think that we discussed it in high school, one of the high schools I went to. I can't remember. And then I think in one of the colleges I went to, we went back over Shakespeare. I took some kind of literary course. It should be on one of my matriculated time sequenced allotments of what I was allowed at the time that hasn't necessarily been fully ingrained in my doctrine. Like, it's in my doctrine, it's just not in my endocrine. My endocrine is having trouble. But then again, that goes back to sequencing. Where does thought originate from? It's the human is more of a receiver of information, and if the outer sphere of intelligence is broken, then the interaction therein, like the receiving station, is not working. And but that goes into other areas of science that I don't talk about with humans, so whatever on that. But I'm experiencing big problems with in whatever level of programming that is. I'm not clear, and I don't have word construct on it, but it's real. Um, and I have a feeling it has to do something with a fight over this archaic. Is this an analog? I mean, again, what quarter of Jerusalem is fighting today, and how is that possibility in like old world, old kingdom, impacting new kingdom, where me and the special child arrived in special timing technique? But now there's this added layer of common denominator problems for which I did not ask, I did not seek, but somebody forced me through. And I don't want it to become a bigger ocean versus Vic, VIK problem, for being held at bay, away from my ocean born, or he wasn't even born in ocean, but whatever on that. Um, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.